Coming up on Inside the Middle East, a journey through Morocco, the western edge of the Arab world. Explore its largest city, Casablanca. No, not this one. I'll meet a filmmaker with a very different take.
I want to show this reality because it's important that people hear it.
Plus, I travel by train to Morocco's spiritual heart, Fez. Meet a band once torn apart by war, recently reunited after half a century. And later, making leather in Morocco the old-fashioned way. I explore Fez's sights, sounds, and smells.
I'm kind of getting used to it.
All that and more on a special Inside the Middle East.
Join me, Hala Garani, as we journey through Morocco. Casablanca, Morocco. Well, it's really not about the film Casablanca. In fact, it's not about the movie at all. None of it was shot here. It was all shot on some lot in California. No, Casablanca is more about this.
There is, of course, the big landmark here, the Hassan II Mosque, named after the current king's father. It is a place to watch the sunset over the Atlantic, take your sweetheart for a quick picnic, the Place des Nations Unies for a coffee, even an opportunity to buy a fake Rolex.
I have Rolex Finish collection.
Thank you, I'm fine.
Or not. The faded grandeur of colonial-era hotels like the Excelsior, with a perhaps different clientele than in its heyday. But it's also a city where there is an effort made to look to the future, with glitzy new marina projects that look more like something you'd see in Dubai. And a new tram, car-free streets as well. An old city maybe, but with a very young population, in a neighborhood that has seen revolutions and uprisings recently. But not here. Publicly, at least, people tell me they like the stability here and that they like their king, Mohammed VI, who's trying to make things better, they say. But not all is rosy. Far from it. There are quite literally those who live on the other side of the tracks. Their stories are being told in a new film that is light years away from the 1942 film classic that immortalized this city. I'm on the tram to meet a director with a very different take on Casablanca. At the end of the line, I get out at Sidi Moumen, a shanty town on the outskirts of Casablanca. It's just a short drive from downtown, really, but it feels like a million miles away. This is the Casablanca of Horses of God, a new movie by Moroccan-French filmmaker Nabeel Ayoush. The film follows the lives of Yashin and Hamid, two young brothers struggling to deal with the violence, drugs, and abject poverty of the slum. In the film version of the slum, as in real life, there are few basic services, and young men are often left to fend for themselves.
وتخدم بوحدك راه ما نضمنش لك.
تخدم مع تا واحد.
تخدم مع تا واحد. ربي يشيل كشاف البرا وشي. ما نشوف.
I meet Ayoush in the real Sidi Moumen.
What do people dream of here? What do residents of this neighbor, I mean, you call it this slum, what do they dream of? What do they want?
To be reconnected to the rest of the society and to have the feeling that they are citizens. They are dreaming of dignity.
Horses of God is based on a book and inspired by an event that scarred this city, the 2003 Casablanca bombings. 45 people died that day in coordinated blasts that struck Western and Jewish targets in the heart of the city. There were 12 suicide bombers, all young, radical jihadists, and all of them came from this slum.
هنا غتلقاو الطريق الصحيح وراحة البال بالصلاة. بالصلاة مع الإخوة ديالكم غتزادوا الثقة في نفوسكم.
So you wanted to make a movie about that event, about what motivates some young men to join these groups, to be brainwashed by these groups.
This was, with the Horses of God, one of my main concerns, how a 5-year-old boy can become a suicide bomber. This is exactly what I'm showing in the film, how they can have reached that point of lack of hope, despair to become a terrorist, yeah.
The film wasn't easy to make. It took 3 years and more than $4 million. For Ayush, it was a personal journey. He grew up in the tough Paris suburbs, a patchwork of cultures and religions, and where violence is not uncommon.
I'm half Jew, half Muslim, half French, half Moroccan, so it's a lot of half. And when you're young, I think at a certain time you have the feeling you need to belong, to belong to a part of a group. You need to be of a certain color. And when you need a black or white or green or whatever, when you're a rainbow, it's a little bit hard.
After the 2003 bombings, Morocco pledged to get rid of all of its slums, though it has yet to reach that goal. The country did build new housing. This is what some of it looks like today. Sidi Moumin improved, so much so that the film had to be shot in a different town.
We're surrounded by new public housing that was inspired by these suicide bombings, by these young men who went out and blew themselves up. So there is some success here.
There are some great efforts of the government to fight against that, but this is not easy. See, we're talking of a big country. There are lots of poverty.
And few jobs, especially for young people, 1/3 of Morocco's population. The World Bank says nearly half of which are neither employed nor in school. But Ayush doesn't see sweeping change hitting Morocco anytime soon.
I'm not telling you that Morocco is an ideal place and there is no problem in this country. I'm telling you that if it didn't happen here, this Arab Spring, it's for good reasons. And when people are watching what's happening, for example, in Syria, in Egypt, in Tunisia, they just don't want that.
His film actually helped this slum. All the actors came from Sidi Moumen, including first-timer Abdelila Rashid, who finally, he says, feels hopeful. He tells me other actors are looking at me, saying if Abdelila can do it from Sidi Moumen, we can too.
Nothing is impossible. With your success,
If you want, you can.
The film's success is helping as well. It premiered at Cannes last year, and Morocco has selected it as the country's submission in the foreign language category for the Oscars. An opportunity for the whole world to see Casablanca through Ayush's eyes.
I want to show this reality because it's important that people hear it and watch it here in Morocco and outside the country.
Up next, they're bringing the band back together after 50 years apart. See why as we journey to Fez.